Hi, and welcome to Unveiling Sickle Cell Beyond the Pain. I am your host, Tabitha McGee, and I'm also the Executive Director of the Sickle Cell Foundation of Georgia. I am headed into my 10th year of leading the foundation, and my commitment to advocacy is stronger than it's ever been before. Today, we're talking about legislation and support. It all happens here, and it all starts right now.
I know the questions in your mind. Unveiling sickle cell beyond the pain. Now I believe that I can get through anything. Past the touch, now you can unveil sickle cell beyond the pain.
Welcome to Unveiling Sickle Cell Beyond the Pain. Today, we're excited to learn about the new laws and initiatives we can expect this year from our state lawmakers, and our guests know all about that. Andy Lord is a prominent advocate for sickle cell disease and lobbyist for the Sickle Cell Foundation of Georgia. And we also have Representative Carolyn Hughley, who is the newly elected Georgia House Minority Leader, and we're very proud of her. Representative Hughley has spent more than 30 years in the Georgia State Legislature. She is a good friend and a supporter of the Sickle Cell Foundation of Georgia. We are so happy you guys are here. This has been long overdue and so much in the making. And I am just tickled pink, actually, that you guys are both here. And so welcome to both of you. And Andy, I really want to start with you. You know, we've been talking about sickle cell disease, and I've been here now, just going on 10 years. And so I think we started with you right about 10 years in 2015. And you have been leading the way for sickle cell since then. But here's something very interesting. Sickle cell disease is probably an African American community. But we found out something, so we want you to share your story.
Well, yes, thank you, Tabitha. It's so great to be here with you and Leader Hughley. So yeah, my sickle cell journey, so to speak, really began when my son was born. When I was born, sickle cell screening was not included in the metabolic battery of screenings that were required in Georgia. And later, much later, in the late 80s, early 90s, sickle cell screening was added to the metabolic screening battery. So by the time my son was born, he tested positive upon live birth for sickle cell trait. Well, the pediatricians were so sure this was a mistake that they didn't even call to tell me.
Wow.
They retested his sample, and when they retested it, it came back positive again for sickle cell trait. And it was only at that juncture that they called me and said, hey, your son has sickle cell trait. Unfortunately, they left that on a voicemail for me. So I went and Googled sickle cell, and of course my screen filled up with very concerning trends with regard to the disease. And so I ended up getting on the phone. I tried to call the pediatrician back. They had already closed. I ended up on the phone with Emory Hospital after being transferred a million times. Ended up on the phone with the geneticist at Emory. That geneticist heard my story. He said, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I need to ask you an indelicate question. I'll never forget this conversation. And I said, yes, anything. And he said, you sound white. And I said, yeah, that's true. And he goes, huh. So I say that part of the story to say, you know, it's really important that we understand that just even in recent times, since my son has been born, a lot of the provider community doesn't even necessarily know what to look for, ask for, et cetera. But after I kind of barked up that tree, I then went to my oldest living relative, my grandmother, at the time, and went in and sat down at the table with her. It was just me and her. And I said, Grandmother, I've learned this. What can you tell me about it? And she said, more sweet tea? So I said, well, yeah, but what about this? And she said, some more sweet tea. And she would never tell me. This was this old Southern culture where there's just not a rug big enough to sweep the stuff under. So I had to go on my own journey and just try to trace this back, you know, in my history. But what I did learn, you know, was that my son had sickle cell. My wife and I both went and got tested.
Wow.
And sure enough, it was me. And again, they were surprised. I mean, the doctors are like, yeah, it was positive. And they're looking at me like they're looking for answers from me. And it was kind of my first introduction into, understanding what sickle cell truly was, how devastating it can truly be,
Yes.
but also how under-equipped at
Yes.
that time our healthcare system was in recognizing and treating this condition. And it was after that that I began volunteering here at
Yeah.
the foundation. That's how,
Yes.
I called around and said, what can I do
Yes.
to pay it back? How can I get involved? And
Yes.
I became a volunteer for the foundation for years and went all
Yes.
over the state to health fairs and just talked to people about it. And that ultimately led to me working, as you know, directly for the foundation and taking our case to folks like Leader Hughley at the state capitol. And, we went in that first year, and the first question, I asked when we started was, how much money do we have in the budget? And of course, the answer to that was, trying to remember, $0. $0. And that's where our work began.
That's where our work began. I thank you for that story, and I want to make sure that we're very clear. So your son, you have sickle cell trait, not the disease. And so that's very important for people to know, and it's very different as well. So sickle cell trait doesn't have all of the chronic pain and all the suffering that goes along with sickle cell disease. And so I just wanted to make that clear for the audience that's listening to us today. But here's something I want to ask Leader Hughley. Why sickle cell? Why did you decide to join us on this journey?
Well, my first introduction to sickle cell, thanks, of course, for having me. My first introduction was twins at my church.
Oh, wow.
One had the disease,
Okay.
the other one didn't.
Oh.
And so every year, the one with the disease had multiple hospital stays, and the pastor would ask us to pray for her and
Okay.
this and that and the other. But she was a little kid.
Okay.
And so that made me curious about her journey. And from talking to her mother and seeing the difference between her and her sister, it showed how devastating it can be.
Yes.
And in terms of their growing up, the things that they were able to do, the activities they were able to participate in. So that was my first introduction.
Okay.
And then as a legislator, we have a colleague by the name of Gloria Frazier
Yes.
who insisted that
Yes.
everybody pay more attention to sickle cell disease as part of our legislative advocacy.
We will certainly miss her. She fought so hard for us, and she just recently retired. And I know that she'll still be around. We can call her and consult with her. But certainly, she made a tremendous difference in the sickle cell community. So, Gloria, if you're listening today, we want to say thank you. And Representative, Leader Hughley, we want to say thank you too, because you've done a lot of work. I remember when I first go marching down the Capitol, she's like, you got a problem. You got to go and fix it down in Columbus. And we did that. We did exactly what you told us to do. And as a result of it, we've had some success. And so we want you guys to stay right here. We want you to stay right here with us. Don't go away. There's so much more to come. We'll be right back. We're so glad you're back. We're talking with sickle cell advocate and lobbyist Andy Lord and Georgia House Minority Leader, State Representative Carolyn Hughley. So thank you guys again. That was very important. I love hearing your stories. So many people are shocked when they hear your story, right? Your story sheds a lot of light. And as you said, now, since the early 80s, every child that is born in the state of Georgia has a newborn screening test for sickle cell, upon birth. And so we are receiving those results, and we're the ones that's contacting parents to let them know what their child's status is, which is very, very critical, because many parents do not know what their child's status is. And then, of course, not knowing, they've taken out of the court systems. And so you go to court to get married. People are getting married, not knowing their status. And then, two traits to get together. And all of a sudden we have a child with sickle cell disease. So advocating, for education and awareness is so critical. So thanks for sharing your story. So Andy, we had to work really, really hard. It's been 10 years that we've been knocking on doors, trying to get money inside of the state budget to support sickle cell. So can you tell me a little bit about that process? What does that look like? How do you go about doing that?
Well, it's a little bit different for everybody, but in our case, I will start by saying I think the thing that I am most proud of with regard to our efforts to fund sickle cell support in Georgia is that it has been very bipartisan. And that's important,
It's very
in a
important.
state like Georgia.
Yes.
And the way that we ended up getting initiated in Georgia was I was in the office of the aforementioned Gloria Frazier.
Yes.
And she and I were actually talking about a totally different piece of legislation, and her admin came in and said, hey, the speaker's willing to meet with you about your sickle cell
Okay.
bill. And I said, Gloria, what are you doing with sickle cell? Because, I've got the trait and I would
Right.
love to help. And she said, get out of my office. And I said, no, Gloria, I really do. And we started talking about it. And that's when we were gaming out, what's in the budget, et cetera. And we realized there was nothing in the budget.
Right.
So I said, look, first stop is we've got to go talk to the appropriations chairs
Okay.
in both chambers, the House and the Senate. And my first stop there was with former Senator Renee Unterman.
Yes.
And Renee and Senator Unterman and I had worked on a lot of bills together. And I said, Senator, this is a very critical condition. It's a debilitating condition. We brought personal stories to her. We brought advocates to her. We said, we're not represented in the budget like a lot of other disease states
Right.
are. Will you help us get a leg up and just put us in the budget? Because we're not even in the document.
Right.
We're not even in the budget document. And that first year, she agreed to put in $150,000.
Yes.
Now, look, we don't want to be dismissive of any taxpayer
Right.
dollars ever, but relative to the size of Georgia's budget, this was nominal at best. But I appreciated her saying, we're going to put something in there so you have a toehold.
Right.
So that first year, the House kept that appropriation in, and we walked out that year at least being represented in the budget. And to make a very long story short, what we have done every year since then, every dollar, every nickel of that $150,000, we accounted for it.
Yes.
We did exactly what we said we were going to do with it.
Exactly.
We got it directly out to patients, as nominal as it was.
Yes.
We said we're going to build our story to the General Assembly, to the House, the Senate, and the governor's office. And we did that. Yeah. And the next year we got a little bit more, and the next year we got a little more, and we grew this to the sizable budget that we have now. But
Yes.
the way we have done this is we have secured the funding incrementally
Yes.
to build up over time to our
Yes.
budget, and we have gone back to the General Assembly every year and been extremely transparent,
Right.
and showed a direct line from point A to point B. Here's what we did with the funding. And at that point, it was folks like Leader
Right.
Hughley, Representative Al Williams, Chairman Butch Parrish, and of course Gloria Frazier, as we mentioned. They were really, among others, just the tip of the spear in saying, wait a minute, this is a disease that
Right.
disproportionately affects African Americans. We do have almost 13,000 patients that
Right.
were in the state that were not being served.
Right.
And they all agreed, and with the backing of Leader Hughley, Gloria, Al, Butch Parrish, that is how we grew this and came to where we are now.
Yeah, so the most important thing, you said that people don't realize we are audited. We have to make sure that every penny is accounted for, and we
right.
do that very well. We have our own third-party representative that does our audits, and every year everything adds up. And so thank you for all the tireless work that you've done to help us get it. And so Carolyn Hughley, as we think about the challenges, what is the biggest challenge you would say in getting monies added to the state budget?
Well, of course, the first thing is having a line in the budget.
Yes.
And once you have a line in the budget, you can build on that.
Okay.
And for us, I sit on the Health Appropriations Subcommittee. For us, we're able to sit with our colleagues and talk to them about the return on investment.
Okay.
And so every year we talk about the things that you all have done.
Okay.
We let them know that it is a good investment. We let them know that constituents are being served, not just here in Atlanta, but throughout our state.
That's right, in the rural counties.
And so that's important when we tell them it's not just people over here, but we're serving your constituents as well.
Right.
And so that makes a difference. And so every year has gotten a little easier and easier because they already know that we're going to ask for sickle cell money.
Exactly.
So as we sit around the table and everybody goes to what their priorities are, they know that that's going to be on my list.
Right.
And so that's how it's done.
Okay.
And of course, Andy is a great advocate for you all. And so as we are inside doing our thing, Andy's outside giving us coaching and sending us messages in,
Right.
and make sure you tell them X, Y, Z that has gone on. So we work as a team, and that's how it's done.
Well, thank you guys both so much. You know, this year at the state capitol, this was the first year that we had over 400 sickle cell warriors there. You know, having them understand the importance of showing up for themselves, having them understand the importance of advocating to their state representatives, you know, and to their district representatives and letting them know what's going on with them on a day-to-day has really made a tremendous difference. And so I thank you both. I thank you for all the great work that you're doing. I know that we still got a lot more work to do. You know, I think about other disease states like, you know, hemophilia, cystic fibrosis. They get so much more money for fewer incidences of individuals, you know, with those diseases. And, you know, we don't try to compare, but we still say that we have a long road to go. You know, we have a big fight ahead of us. And so I'm just really honored and proud. You know, you're very responsible for the Sickle Cell Sanctuary. So we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We really thank you. Our Sickle Cell Warriors, thank you. And we got so much work. So thank you for being here today. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for staying here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We're back, and now, Andy and representing Hughley, we have this amazing guy named Blaze. He's on the streets of Atlanta, finding out what people know or what don't they know about sickle cell disease. So Blaze, tell us all about what people know.
Thank you so much, T. We're having a great time out here. I am here with
Latanya,
and she says she's ready to play Did You Know? The show to test what you know about sickle cell disease. 3 questions.
yes.
She already started trying to cheat. She already's been cheating. Trying to look at my cue cards. I'm just gonna put that on the record.
Definitely not.
You get them correct. You walk away with some Chick-fil-A.
I love Chick-fil-A.
You love Chick-fil-A?
Let's do it.
Even on Sundays?
Even on Sundays.
She lying. What are the odds of a child being born with sickle cell disease if both parents have the sickle cell trait? A, 50%, B, 25%, C, 75%.
75%.
Okay, that is incorrect. The answer was 25%.
What?
We're gonna keep it rolling though.
Okay.
The next question. If you carry the trait for sickle cell, you will eventually get the disease. A, yes, everyone with trait will get the disease. B, no, most people with the trait will not have symptoms or complications. Or C, yes, but only after the age of 40.
B.
Is this your final answer?
That is my final answer.
That is correct.
Hey.
One more for the road.
Okay.
Can people with the sickle cell trait donate blood? A, no, they cannot donate blood. B, yes, they can donate blood, organs, and tissue. C, they can only donate tissue.
B.
B, final answer?
Yes.
That is correct.
Woohoo!
Unfortunately,
Aw.
you missed one,
Aw.
but we still gonna give you some Chick-fil-A anyway. Thank you so much for playing. That was Did You Know? The show to test what you know about sickle cell disease. Back to you guys in the studio.
Well, thank you, Blaze. We're very excited. So we're very excited that both of you are here today. I mean, you guys have done some phenomenal work in the state of Georgia. So I really thank you. And so I know, Andy, you want to say something else. What is that great thing you want to tell me?
I just had a final message I wanted to leave with the viewers, which is that another thing that Leader Hughley and others helped us do at the state capitol a number of years ago was to establish a personalized or vanity tag, it's sometimes called, for sickle cell, for the Sickle Cell Foundation of Georgia. So anytime when it's your birthday and you're renewing your car tag, there's an opportunity to just click on the drop-down menu, select the sickle cell tag. They will send you a sickle cell tag, and a portion of those extra proceeds come to us here at the foundation. But more importantly, it's on the back of your car, and you're helping us raise awareness about sickle cell as well. So don't forget on your next birthday when you renew your tag, get a sickle cell tag and help us spread the word.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again both so much. We appreciate both of you so much. Thank you to our sponsors, our supporters, and most of all, to you, our viewers. We couldn't do this important work without you. We'll be right here next week. Please make a date to join us, and remember, there is hope in every heartbeat.